My parents made my childhood the worst moment in my life, and now they have come to sue for the money I earned. I'm in a pretty tough spot, and I really need some advice. I'm a 25-year-old guy who grew up in a pretty dysfunctional family. This is a long story, so bear with me. Growing up, my parents were never the loving and supportive type. My earliest memories are of them constantly criticizing and belittling me. I was never good enough, no matter what I did. My mom was particularly harsh. She had this uncanny ability to find fault in everything. If I brought home a drawing from school, she'd point out how the lines weren't straight or the colors didn't match. If I got a 90 on a test, she'd ask why it wasn't a 100. My dad wasn't much better. He was a quiet man, but when he did speak, it was usually to tell me how I needed to man up or stop being so weak. He was obsessed with discipline and order. Every morning I had to make my bed with military precision. Any wrinkle or misplaced pillow would earn me a stern lecture about attention to detail and the importance of doing things right the first time. Academics were their main focus. From the moment I started school, my parents drilled into me that I had to be the best. They forced me to study for hours every day, even on weekends and holidays. While other kids were out playing, I was stuck at home, buried in books. My mom hired private tutors for every subject, not because I needed them, but because she believed I had to have an edge over everyone else. If I showed any sign of struggling, the tutors were blamed, fired, and replaced with someone more competent. My social life was non-existent. I wasn't allowed to have friends over or go to their houses. My parents believed that socializing was a distraction from my studies. The only people I interacted with were my parents, my tutors, and occasionally my teachers. I remember one time in 3rd grade, I was invited to a classmate's birthday party. I was so excited and begged my parents to let me go. They refused, saying that parties were a waste of time and I should focus on my studies instead. I cried myself to sleep that night, feeling isolated and unwanted. Things didn't get any better as I grew older. In middle school, I started to realize just how different my life was compared to other kids. They talked about their weekends filled with fun activities, family outings, and sleepovers. I had nothing to share. I felt like an outsider, like I didn't belong. The other kids noticed this too and started to pick on me. They called me a nerd and a teacher's pet. I tried to ignore them, but it was hard. I felt so alone. High school was a nightmare. The pressure to excel academically increased tenfold. My parents expected straight A's in every subject, and anything less was unacceptable. I remember one time I got a B in chemistry. My mom screamed at me for hours, calling me a failure and a disgrace. My dad just shook his head in disappointment. I felt like I was suffocating under their expectations. By my junior year, I was barely holding on. The constant studying, the lack of social interaction, and the relentless criticism were taking a toll on my mental health. I started having panic attacks and couldn't sleep at night. I dreaded going home every day, knowing what awaited me. My grades started to slip, which only made things worse. My parents' anger and disappointment grew with every report card. I knew I had to get out. I couldn't live like this anymore. I started planning my escape. I saved up every bit of money I could, secretly working odd jobs after school. I researched cities far away from home, places where I could start fresh and build a new life. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I had to try. The day I graduated high school, I made my move. My parents were furious that I didn't get into the Ivy League school they had planned for me. They berated me all the way home from the ceremony. That night, while they were asleep, I packed a bag with some clothes, my savings, and a few personal items. I left a note explaining that I needed to find my own path and that I couldn't do it under their roof. I took a bus to a city a few states away. It was the scariest thing I'd ever done, but also the most liberating. I found a cheap apartment and got a job at a local diner. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. For the first time in my life, I was free from the constant pressure and criticism. I could breathe. The first few months were tough. I was lonely and missed the structure my parents had imposed, even though I hated it at the time. But slowly I started to build a life for myself. I made friends at work and even enrolled in community college. I found a passion for writing and started taking creative writing classes. It was something I'd never been allowed to explore before, and I loved it. Now, I'm in a much better place. I'm still working at the diner, but I've also started freelancing as a writer. I'm doing what I love and living life on my own terms. But my parents recently found out where I am. They've been calling and leaving messages, demanding that I come home and fix my life. They think I'm wasting my potential and ruining my future. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to cut them off completely, but another part feels guilty. They're my parents, after all. So, Reddit, what should I do? How do I deal with my overbearing parents? Should I cut them off or try to make them understand? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I'm back with an update, and I really appreciate all the advice and support from my previous post. A lot has happened since I first shared my story, and I think it's time I let you all know how things have been going. So after leaving my parents' house, I had to take some drastic steps to ensure they couldn't find me or interfere with my new life. The first thing I did was change my phone number. This was a huge relief, as it meant no more constant calls and messages from them trying to guilt-trip me into coming back. It also helped me to feel more in control of my own life, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a very long time. I decided to cut off all communication with my parents. I knew it was a harsh step, but it was necessary for my mental health and well-being. The memories of their constant criticism and unrealistic expectations were still fresh in my mind, and I didn't want to risk falling back into that toxic environment. I blocked them on social media and instructed my friends not to give out any information about me if my parents contacted them. With the connection to my past severed, I focused entirely on my future. My job at the diner was a great starting point, but I knew I wanted more. I continued attending community college and poured my energy into my studies and writing. I made some new friends in my classes, people who shared my interests and supported my goals. One of my first new friends was a guy named Jake. He was a fellow student in my creative writing class, and we hit it off immediately. Jake had a similar story of escaping a difficult family situation, and we bonded over our shared experiences. He introduced me to a writers group that met weekly at a local coffee shop. This group became my new support system, providing both friendship and constructive feedback on my writing. Through the writers group, I met Lisa, a talented writer who worked for a local publishing company. Lisa saw potential in my work and encouraged me to submit some of my stories for publication. With her guidance, I polished a few pieces and sent them off to various literary magazines and online platforms. It was a nerve-wracking process, but I was thrilled when I received my first acceptance letter. My story was going to be published. This small victory gave me a huge confidence boost. I started writing more frequently and exploring different genres and styles. My work began to gain recognition, and I built a modest but growing portfolio. Lisa and I became close friends, and she continued to mentor me, helping me navigate the ins and outs of the publishing world. While my writing career was slowly taking off, I knew I needed to find a more stable source of income. Working at the diner was fine for the time being, but it wasn't something I wanted to do forever. One day, while chatting with one of my regular customers, I learned about a job opening at a local marketing firm. The customer, Sarah, worked there and thought I might be a good fit for their team, given my writing skills and creative mindset. I applied for the job, and after a few rounds of interviews, I got it. This was a significant step up from my diner job, both in terms of salary and professional development. The marketing firm had a dynamic and supportive work environment, and I quickly found my place there. My writing skills were put to good use in creating compelling content for various clients, and I enjoyed the collaborative nature of the work. My boss, Mark, recognized my potential early on and became another mentor figure in my life. He was experienced in the industry and offered invaluable advice and guidance. Mark encouraged me to take on more responsibilities and helped me develop new skills, such as public speaking and project management. Under his mentorship, I grew more confident in my abilities and started to see a clear career path ahead of me. The company culture at the marketing firm was fantastic. We had regular team-building activities, workshops, and opportunities for professional growth. I formed strong bonds with my colleagues, who were all passionate about their work and supportive of one another. One colleague in particular stood out: Emily. She was a senior content strategist, and we often worked together on projects. Emily was incredibly knowledgeable and always willing to share her expertise. We became close friends, and she played a crucial role in my professional development. With a stable job and a supportive network of friends and colleagues, I felt more secure than ever before. I rented a nicer apartment in a safer neighborhood, which gave me a comfortable space to focus on my writing and unwind after work. My life was finally starting to come together, and for the first time I felt truly happy and content. As my experience and confidence grew, I began to take on freelance writing projects on the side. This not only provided additional income, but also allowed me to explore different industries and expand my portfolio. I wrote everything from blog posts and articles to marketing copy and social media content. Each project taught me something new and helped me hone my skills further. One of the most significant turning points in my career came when I was approached by a well-known tech company to write a series of articles for their blog. This was a high-profile gig that could open many doors for me. I threw myself into the project, researching extensively and writing with precision and creativity. The company was impressed with my work and offered me a long-term contract to continue writing for them. This opportunity was a game changer. Not only did it provide financial stability, but it also boosted my credibility as a writer. My name started to gain recognition in the industry, and I received more offers from other companies and publications. I even got the chance to speak at a couple of conferences about content creation and digital marketing, which further established me as an expert in my field. My success in the freelance world eventually led me to consider starting my own business. With the support and encouragement of my friends and mentors, I launched a small content marketing agency. It was a daunting task, but I was determined to make it work. I spent countless hours planning, networking, and building my client base. Jake, Lisa, and Emily all pitched in, offering their skills and expertise to help get the business off the ground. Running my own agency was challenging but incredibly rewarding. I loved the freedom and flexibility it offered, as well as the opportunity to work with a diverse range of clients. My team grew, and I hired a few talented writers and marketers to join me. Together, we delivered high-quality content and marketing strategies that helped our clients achieve their goals. As my business flourished, I also made time for personal growth and self-care. I took up yoga and meditation to help manage stress and maintain a healthy work-life balance. I reconnected with my love for hiking and spent weekends exploring nearby trails and nature parks. These activities helped me stay grounded and provided a much-needed escape from the pressures of running a business. My relationships with my friends continued to deepen. We celebrated each other's successes and supported one another through tough times. Jake published his first novel, and we threw a big party to celebrate. Lisa got promoted at her publishing company, and Emily started a family. Our lives were all moving forward in different ways, but our bond remained strong. Throughout all these changes, I never forgot where I came from or the struggles I endured to get here. I occasionally thought about my parents, wondering if they ever realized the impact their behavior had on me. But I knew that reconnecting with them wasn't an option. The pain and resentment ran too deep, and I couldn't risk my hard-earned happiness and stability by letting them back into my life. Instead, I focused on the future. My agency continued to grow, and I started to receive recognition in the industry. I was invited to speak at more conferences and even won a few awards for my work. I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that I'd never experienced before. I had built a successful career and a fulfilling life on my own terms, free from the toxic influence of my parents. One day, I received an unexpected email from a literary agent who had come across some of my published work. She was impressed with my writing and wanted to discuss the possibility of working together on a book. This was a dream come true. I had always loved writing, and the idea of publishing a book was something I had fantasized about for years. I met with the agent, and we hit it off immediately. She was enthusiastic about my ideas and encouraged me to start working on a manuscript. I spent the next several months writing, pouring my heart and soul into the book. It was a memoir, detailing my journey from a troubled childhood to finding success and happiness on my own. The writing process was both cathartic and challenging. Revisiting my past was painful, but it also helped me gain closure and a deeper understanding of myself. When the manuscript was finally finished, my agent submitted it to several publishers. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and soon I had a book deal. When my book was published, it received rave reviews and quickly became a bestseller. I was invited to do book signings and interviews, and I received countless messages from readers who were inspired by my story. It was an incredible feeling to know that my experiences could help others who were struggling with similar challenges. With the success of my book, my career reached new heights. I continued to run my content marketing agency, but I also took on more writing projects and speaking engagements. I was busier than ever, but I loved every minute of it. I had found my purpose and was living a life that felt true to who I was. As I reflect on my journey, I'm grateful for all the experiences that led me to where I am today. The hardships I faced growing up taught me resilience and determination. The people I met along the way provided support and guidance when I needed it most. And my passion for writing gave me a way to express myself and connect with others. I've come a long way from the scared, lonely kid who felt trapped in a toxic home. I've built a life that I'm proud of, filled with love, friendship, and fulfillment. While I can't change my past, I've learned to embrace it as part of my story. And as I look to the future, I'm excited to see where this journey will take me next. Thank you for reading and for all the support. If anyone out there is going through a tough time, please know that things can get better. It's not always easy, but with determination and the right support, you can overcome even the darkest of times. Stay strong and never give up on your dreams. Life had finally settled into a comfortable rhythm. The transition from a tumultuous past filled with emotional abuse to a present full of professional success and supportive friends was complete. The content marketing agency thrived. The book had become a bestseller, and there were regular invitations to speak at industry events and conferences. It seemed that the hard work and perseverance had finally paid off, and peace had been achieved. However, life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges just when things seem to be going well. One ordinary Tuesday afternoon, while working from the home office, there was an unexpected knock on the door. No meetings were scheduled and no visitors were expected, so the interruption was surprising and a bit disconcerting. Opening the door revealed a sight that had been avoided for years, parents standing there, looking older but just as intimidating as ever. Shock and a sense of foreboding filled the moment. The immediate question was how they had managed to find the new address. Before there was a chance to ask, the parents pushed their way into the house, taking in the comfortable, well-furnished living room with evident disdain. The atmosphere was immediately tense and uncomfortable. The conversation began with a demand. The parents were there for money, claiming they were aware of the financial success and expected support. This wasn't a request for help, but an assertion of entitlement. It was difficult to process their audacity, especially after everything that had transpired in the past. Efforts to assert boundaries and ask them to leave were met with scoffs and accusations of ingratitude. They claimed they had made significant sacrifices to provide a good upbringing, and now it was time to repay. They twisted the narrative, portraying themselves as supportive and loving parents who had done everything to ensure success. It was infuriating to hear them distort the past so blatantly. Eventually they left, but not without a parting shot that hinted at further trouble. The unsettling encounter left a lingering feeling of unease, knowing that this was not the end of the matter. The sense of foreboding proved accurate when, about a week later, a letter from a lawyer representing the parents arrived. They were suing for a significant portion of the earnings, claiming entitlement based on supposed financial support during upbringing. The letter was filled with exaggerated claims and outright lies, painting a picture far removed from reality. The devastation was immense. After all the efforts to distance from the toxic past and build an independent life, this was a major setback. It was time to take action and prepare for a legal battle. Contacting a lawyer, preparations began to defend against the baseless lawsuit. The process of preparing for the lawsuit was grueling. Old records, emails, and any documentation that could disprove the parents' claims had to be dug up. The lawyer, Rachel, was instrumental in guiding through this process. She provided the necessary support and helped gather evidence and build a strong case. The anticipation of the court battle brought a mix of anxiety and anger. The realization that the parents were still trying to exert control and manipulate was painful, but there was determination to fight back and protect the hard-earned success. The first court hearing was nerve-wracking. Walking into the courtroom, seeing the parents sitting confidently with their lawyer was a stark reminder of the ongoing battle. The opening statement set the tone. The parents' lawyer painted them as loving and sacrificial, manipulating the narrative to their favor. This portrayal was in sharp contrast to the reality of the upbringing. Rachel began dismantling their argument in a calm and methodical manner. She presented evidence showing the minimal financial support provided and highlighted the emotional and psychological abuse endured. This evidence included testimonies from friends and former teachers who provided crucial insights into the reality of the upbringing and the struggle to build an independent life. The process involved multiple court appearances, each requiring more evidence and witnesses. The parents' claims continued to unravel as the proceedings went on, and their credibility took significant hits. One of the most challenging moments was testifying. Reliving the painful experiences and describing the abuse was exhausting but necessary. It was crucial to paint an accurate picture of the past to disprove the parents' fabricated narrative. The parents' defiant and unrepentant demeanor during the testimony served as a stark reminder of why the ties had been cut in the first place. As the case neared its conclusion, the final hearing loomed. Closing arguments were made, and the wait for the verdict was tense. When the judge delivered the decision, it was a moment of overwhelming relief. The ruling was in favor of the defendant, stating that the parents' claims were unfounded and dismissing the case. The court also ordered them to pay the legal fees. The victory brought immense relief and a sense of justice. It was a confirmation that the hard work and perseverance had paid off. Friends and colleagues who had been supportive throughout the ordeal shared in the celebration. The court's decision stood firm even when the parents tried to appeal, leaving them with nothing. The knowledge of their financial struggles did not evoke sympathy, as they had brought this upon themselves. With the lawsuit behind, the focus shifted to moving forward. The content marketing agency continued to thrive, and new, exciting projects came along. A second book was in the works, inspired by the experiences with the lawsuit and the journey of self-discovery. The support from friends and colleagues remained invaluable. The professional success and personal growth were testaments to the power of resilience and determination. The journey from a troubled childhood to building a successful, independent life was complete. Reflecting on the entire experience, there was a sense of pride in how far things had come. Overcoming unimaginable challenges, it was possible to create a life filled with hope, happiness, and success. The past, though painful, had shaped the resilience and determination that fueled the journey. This experience highlighted the power of shaping one's destiny. Despite a difficult past, it was possible to rise above and create a future filled with fulfillment and success. The support and encouragement from the community played a significant role in this journey. The victory in court was not just a legal win, but also a personal triumph. It was a clear message that the past could no longer control the future. The parents' attempts to manipulate and exert control had failed, and the independence and success achieved were secure. Life moved forward with a renewed sense of purpose. The content marketing agency expanded, taking on bigger clients and more significant projects. The second book gained momentum, with publishers showing keen interest. Speaking engagements increased, offering more opportunities to share experiences and insights with a broader audience. The network of supportive friends and colleagues continued to grow. Professional relationships deepened, leading to collaborations and new opportunities. The sense of community and belonging provided a strong foundation for continued growth and success. The journey from a painful past to a promising future was marked by resilience, determination, and the unwavering support of friends and mentors. It was a testament to the power of self-belief and the importance of surrounding oneself with positive influences. Looking ahead, there was excitement about the possibilities and opportunities. The hard work and perseverance had paid off, leading to a life filled with achievements and fulfillment. The lessons learned along the way served as a reminder of the strength and resilience that had been developed through overcoming adversity. The support and encouragement from the community played a significant role in this journey. The friends who had stood by during the toughest times, offering advice and lending a listening ear, were invaluable. The professional mentors who had provided guidance and support were crucial in navigating the challenges and achieving success. The legal battle, though painful and challenging, ultimately strengthened the resolve to succeed. It reinforced the importance of standing up for oneself and fighting for what is right. The victory in court was a powerful affirmation of the journey undertaken and the progress made. In conclusion, The journey from a troubled childhood to a successful, independent life was filled with challenges and triumphs. It was a testament to the power of resilience, determination, and the support of a strong community. The experiences and lessons learned along the way provided a solid foundation for continued growth and success. The future was bright, filled with opportunities and the promise of a fulfilling and prosperous life. After the long and grueling battle in court, life had finally started to feel normal again. The weight of the past seemed to lift, and the focus shifted back to work, friends, and the promising future. The content marketing agency was thriving, and work on the second book was progressing well. The dark clouds of the lawsuit had dissipated, leaving behind a clear sky filled with opportunities and hope. However, the peace was short-lived, as another storm was brewing just over the horizon, one that would test the resilience and strength that had been so painstakingly built. It was a crisp autumn evening when the next chapter of the struggle began to unfold. The day had been productive, filled with meetings and writing sessions, and as the sun set, the plans for a quiet night at home took shape. Settling into the routine of unwinding after a busy day, there was a sense of tranquility and satisfaction. Little did anyone know that this calm was about to be shattered in the most violent and unexpected way. The sound of the doorbell ringing late at night was the first indication that something was amiss. It was unusual for anyone to visit at this hour, and the apprehension was immediate. Approaching the door with a mix of curiosity and caution, the sight of an unfamiliar woman standing on the porch added to the sense of unease. She looked older, with a stern and angry expression, and there was a familiarity in her features that hinted at a familial connection. As the door opened, the woman introduced herself as the sister of the protagonist's mother. Her name was Aunt Lydia, and her presence was imposing and intimidating. Without waiting for an invitation, she pushed her way into the house, her demeanor hostile and aggressive. The confrontation that followed was unexpected and alarming. Aunt Lydia was furious. She had come with the intention of confronting her nephew about the recent lawsuit against his parents. Her voice was loud and accusatory as she berated him for taking his parents to court, calling him ungrateful and selfish. She demanded to know how he could do such a thing to his own mother and father, who had supposedly sacrificed so much for him. Her words were filled with venom, and it was clear that she had come looking for a fight. The attempt to explain the reasons behind the lawsuit fell on deaf ears. Aunt Lydia was not interested in hearing about the years of emotional and psychological abuse or the manipulative behavior that had led to the legal battle. Her mind was made up, and she was there to deliver her own form of justice. The confrontation quickly escalated as she began to shout and threaten, her anger boiling over. The situation took a violent turn when Aunt Lydia reached into her bag and pulled out a piece of rebar. It was a crude and terrifying weapon, and the sight of it sent a chill down the spine. Her intentions were clear, and there was no time to react. She swung the rebar with a force that took everyone by surprise, and the impact was immediate and excruciating. The first blow landed on the arm, a sharp pain radiating through the body. The instinct to protect oneself kicked in, but Aunt Lydia was relentless. She swung the rebar again, this time aiming for the torso. The pain was unbearable, and it was difficult to stay on the feet. The realization that this was a fight for survival hit hard, and there was a desperate need to find a way to stop her. The struggle was chaotic and brutal. Aunt Lydia continued to swing the rebar, landing blow after blow. Each hit was a mixture of pain and fear, and it was becoming increasingly difficult to stay conscious. There was a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, a realization that if something wasn't done quickly, this could end very badly. Gathering all the strength left, there was an attempt to block her attacks and push her away. It was a desperate move, fueled by the will to survive. The adrenaline coursing through the veins provided a temporary boost of strength, enough to knock the rebar out of her hands and create some distance. The next few moments were a blur of movement and noise, a frantic scramble to get away and call for help. The police arrived quickly, alerted by a neighbor who had heard the commotion. They found Aunt Lydia still seething with rage, shouting threats and insults. She was taken into custody, but the damage had been done. The injuries sustained were severe, and an ambulance was called to take the victim to the hospital. The next few days were spent in a haze of pain and medical treatment. The doctors worked to repair the physical damage, while friends and colleagues rallied around to provide support. The emotional toll of the attack was heavy, a stark reminder that the past was never truly behind. It took time to process what had happened and to start the journey of recovery once again. Aunt Lydia's attack was not just an act of violence, but also a stark manifestation of the toxic family dynamics that had plagued life for so long. It was a reminder of the lengths to which some people would go to maintain control and exert power. The legal process began once again, this time to hold Aunt Lydia accountable for her actions. The court case against Aunt Lydia was another arduous journey. It was important to ensure that she faced consequences for her violent actions and to prevent her from causing harm again. The support from friends and the legal expertise of Rachel were invaluable during this time. They worked tirelessly to gather evidence and prepare for the trial. The courtroom was a familiar setting, but the stakes felt different this time. The focus was on seeking justice for a violent assault rather than defending against false claims. Aunt Lydia's demeanor during the trial was as hostile as ever. She showed no remorse for her actions, instead doubling down on her accusations and justifying her behavior as an act of familial loyalty. The prosecution presented a strong case, detailing the events of the night and the extent of the injuries sustained. Witnesses, including the neighbor who had called the police, provided testimonies that painted a clear picture of Aunt Lydia's violent and unprovoked attack. Medical reports and photographs of the injuries added to the compelling evidence against her. The defense attempted to portray Aunt Lydia as a concerned family member driven to desperation by her nephew's actions. They argued that she had acted out of a misguided sense of duty to protect her sister. However, this narrative was weak in the face of the overwhelming evidence of her violent behavior. Testifying about the attack was another painful experience, both physically and emotionally. Reliving the fear and pain was difficult, but it was necessary to ensure that justice was served. The courtroom was silent as the details of the brutal assault were recounted, and the impact of Aunt Lydia's actions became undeniable. After days of testimony and deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict. Aunt Lydia was found guilty of assault with a deadly weapon and sentenced to several years in prison. The relief was immense, knowing that she would no longer be able to cause harm. It was a victory, but it came at a high cost. The physical recovery from the attack was slow and painful. There were months of physical therapy and rehabilitation to regain strength and mobility. The emotional scars took even longer to heal. The support of friends and the therapeutic process were crucial in navigating this difficult time. The attack by Aunt Lydia served as a harsh reminder of the deep-seated issues within the family. It reinforced the decision to maintain distance and protect oneself from further harm. The focus shifted back to rebuilding and moving forward, stronger and more resilient than ever before. The content marketing agency continued to grow, providing a sense of purpose and stability. The second book, now infused with even more personal experiences, took shape and became a powerful narrative of resilience and overcoming adversity. The professional achievements provided a counterbalance to the personal struggles, offering a sense of accomplishment and pride. The community of friends and colleagues remained a source of strength and support. They rallied around, offering encouragement and assistance during the toughest times. The bonds formed through shared experiences and mutual support became even stronger, creating a network of trust and friendship that was invaluable.